Detectives, welcome back. In our last investigation, we cracked the case with simple exponential smoothing. We learned something simple but powerful. Use past data, give more weight to recent clues, and update our belief step by step. A clean, elegant way to smooth noisy data. But there was a problem, a big one. SES assumes the world is flat. No trend, no direction, no growth, just a stable pattern. But sales increase every day, or decrease slowly over time. SES will still say, I'll just stay where I am. And that is a problem, because in real life, patterns don't just sit still, and our model needs to understand that movement. So today, we upgrade our tool. This time, the model doesn't just track the current level, it also learns the speed of change. Hold this thought with you. The speed of change, the direction of movement. In simple words, it doesn't just ask, where are we? It asks, where are we going? So if your data has a trend, if things are moving up or down, this is the method you've been waiting for. Now, time to step into the mathematical world. And don't worry, I'm not here to perform magic. I'm a detective. Every conclusion I make will be backed by hard math. After all, we are stalking algorithms here, right? From our previous case, we learned prediction was simply weighted average of current belief and past belief. But now, things are different. If data is moving upward or downward, just knowing the level is not enough. We now need to track two things: where we are and how fast we are moving. The thought I asked you to hold, it's time to unwind it. Adding both the components of level and trend now gives us the prediction. Not just the level, this is the main difference between simple exponential smoothing and what Holt brings to the table. Now, to understand these variables and their boring yet simple derivation, we go back to what we learned in simple exponential smoothing. We used only the previous level in it. But now, we are smarter. We don't just use the past level, we use the entire last prediction. Doing some substitutions, we get the value of level at time t, which takes into account the previous trend level. Now comes the most interesting part. Trend. Trend is nothing but speed. How much did the level change? And in math, speed is just current value minus previous value in 1 unit of time, or the first order difference of the series. Now here's the catch. If we directly use this equation, it becomes very noisy. Every small fluctuation will shake our trend wildly. So what do? We apply the same trick we used in SES. We smooth it. We don't trust just the latest change, we mix it with past trend belief. So equations to hold Holt's trend algorithm is nothing but addition of smoothed level and smoothed trend. We didn't magically pull this equation from SES, but we extended the idea, and that's how we got trend. Let's get our hands dirty now. No investigation can actually happen just by observing the crime scene. You need to get your hands on evidences. We are assuming alpha equals 0.3 and beta equals 0.4. Our first observation is 120, taking the same example so we can compare its performance with simple exponential smoothing you just learned a couple of minutes back. If not, rewind. Last 4 minutes can save future 40 minutes if concepts are clear. Rest up to you, I won't repeat this again and again, and our goal is simple. Predict the value at step 2. From our equations, predicted value at t equals 2 is sum of level and smooth trend at t equals 1. In order to determine L1 and B1, we would need L0 and B0. For L0, we would need L at t minus 1, and for that, we would need L at t minus 2, and this cycle goes on. Now what? The formula is not wrong. Why? It is incomplete without a starting point. It asks for L0 and B0, but the data never gave us those. So mathematically, we have two choices. Assume values like 0, and distort reality or initialize using the first observation. And stay honest to data. I'd say stick to reality. And with 1 point, there's no trend. So here, we don't even have a choice. Initialization is not a hack. It is a necessary boundary condition, just like initial velocity in physics, starting point in recursion. A formula can guide the journey, but it cannot decide where the journey begins. With L1 and B1 with us, we have our first prediction for point 2, which is same as data point we have. Intuitively, why would we change our belief with just one single data point available to us? Of course, I can just say this line and move ahead, but this initialization process is something you guys would need in almost all advanced algorithms. You'll see, no need to clap here, I can't even see, haha. All right, detectives, a new clue arrives, and interestingly, it's exactly the same as before. Let's see how Holt's trend reacts. First, we update level at t equals 2, and with substitutions of the known world, we get, no surprise, nothing changed. Same observation, same belief. Next, we update trend, and still no movement. The detective says, nothing is changing, so speed is still 0. Hence, the prediction at t equals 3 becomes 120 plus 0. 2 identical clues, no movement, no reason to change belief, so the prediction stays exactly where it is. All right, detectives, after 2 boring clues, we finally get a twist at t equals 3. A clear drop from 120. Good for me to show the working of the algorithm, but not good for the ice cream vendor, unfortunately. Anyways, I have already done the calculations, and you guys should also pause the video, give it a thought, or better, dirty your hands and get the pen and paper out. Do it yourself, or watch this in silence. For level update, it drops, but not all the way to 86. The detective says, I'll adjust, but I won't panic. And while updating trend, something important happened. Pay close look. The trend becomes negative. The model has learned we are going down. So the prediction becomes 109.8 plus negative of 4.08 equal to 105.72. Hopefully now you guys understand how the calculations work in Holt's trend. I did it for the entire series, and I get this. Up till now, we've been predicting one step ahead. But what happens when we go further? Beyond the known, beyond the observed data. So value at 2 steps ahead at t plus 2 would be sum of level at t plus 1 and trend at t plus 1. Now focus, we are about to derive something very beautiful here. Smooth level at t plus 1 needs actual value at time t plus 1. It needs something from the future, something that hasn't happened yet. So we do what detectives always do in uncertainty. We trust our last belief completely. We assume whatever we predicted is at time t plus 1 is, in fact, the most accurate and most close to the real value with 0 error. I know, this case is almost never true, but you're diving into the future. You're leaving the rails of the pool and going away from the edge here. The deep you go, the more error is bound to come and bite you. Coming back to the case, we get out smooth value at time t plus 1, and as far as trend or bt plus 1 is considered, there's no evidence to support any change in the trend, any change in the speed. Doing substitutions, we get our prediction value at 2 steps in the future as this. And if we want to venture any further, general formula would become this. Unlike SES, which goes flat, Holt does something smarter. It keeps moving. It extends the trend forward. I'll give you 5 seconds to adjust your eyes, take a pee, and have some coffee of your own. As I promised, things will keep on getting complicated and interesting, and only the brave minds will be able to master this tool. One last piece of the puzzle remains: seasonality. Most real-world data doesn't just move randomly. It follows repeating patterns like ice cream sales go up every summer and remains lower in winters. Other examples could be that retail spikes during holidays, electricity demand rises every evening. These patterns repeat again, and again, and again. Holt-Winters extends Holt's trend method by adding one more component, ST plus 1 minus S is seasonal effect from last cycle, and S is the length of season. Example, 12 for months, 7 for days. We borrow the seasonal pattern from the past and add it to the future. I don't want you to memorize formulas. I want you to trust them. And trust only comes when you understand why they exist. In Holt's method, we were updating level using actual value at time t and previous predicted value. Life was simple because there was no seasonality. Now imagine this. Every December, sales jump. Every summer, ice cream spikes. So your data looks like the combination of true level, trend, and seasonal spike. And here's the danger. If we directly use actual value at time t in level update, the seasonal spike gets mixed into level. So level becomes too high in peak season, too low in off-season. Your baseline belief starts wobbling. That's like a detective confusing festival crowd with real population. So before updating level, we remove the seasonal effect. Now the detective says, let me remove the noise of the season and look at the true signal. Next, trend. It remains the same. Why? Think for a second. It is because trend depends on level differences. And level is already cleaned. And now, it's time to reveal the core of Holt-Winters, seasonality. The reality of our decomposition of the series is simply the sum of level, trend, and seasonality. Rearranging the terms, we get what seasonality basically is. But we are not going to use this directly. Because in Holt-Winters, level is already influenced by trend. Trend is extracted from level. So subtracting trend again will double count the adjustment and break the recursive structure. So instead, we use a smarter interpretation. Let level represent the baseline, including trend effect. Seasonality is simply what is left after removing the baseline. And just like we smoothed level and trend, we smooth seasonality as well. Now, detective, I do not want to work each and every step using pen and paper anymore. I hope by now we truly understand how these algorithms are working under the hood. So, instead of calculating everything manually, we will now trust the model. I have assumed the seasonal pattern for ice cream sales data to be weekly. Also, I am modeling using gamma value equals 0.5. If I extend the forecast for 2 cyclic patterns, say for 14 days, I get something disturbing. Can you see the problem? Though cyclic, our prediction are going down, whereas in training data, the trend clearly is upward. The problem here is, we are relying too much on change in trend. For the last part in our series, the trend indeed is going downwards, so all we need to do is rely less on the current belief on trend and more on the past belief. And how do we do that? We reduce the value of beta. Better. The trick lies in selecting these values of smoothing parameters. Libraries and computers sitting in your room are capable to estimate the best parameters for your series using maximum likelihood estimation. If I apply MLE on this series, our parameters collapses. Ha 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 ha. This means the series we have doesn't have seasonal pattern, nor does the tool relying much on change in trend, meaning trend is almost constant. Well, this is what it is using Holt-Winters tool. But now, if you focus on one thing, which must be coming in your mind but I haven't addressed, the variation in the data is not constant. As the time is increasing, the fluctuations are increasing as well. This additive nature of seasonality assumes that any seasonal behavior remains constant over time, which clearly is not per our case. This additive nature says, if sales are going up by, say, 10 units on Sunday, it will keep on going up by the same 10 units irrespective of the increase or decrease in the number of ice creams with time. So as per the assumption here, every Sunday we can expect to sell 10 units of ice cream more in both the scenarios when we were selling 100 units on average in the initial days, as well as 250 units on an average by day 90. You see how bizarre this sounds. Our data is more likely saying that we can expect selling 10% more and not 10 absolute number of ice creams more on Sunday. See the difference? One scales and other doesn't. In order to account for this pattern, we adjust how we are using seasonality in Holt's winter tool. Seasonality becomes a percentage effect, not fixed value. So now Sunday doesn't add ice cream, it amplifies demand. Here the intuition is. Prediction is given by baseline movement multiplied by seasonal intensity. Naturally, we have to change the equations used for smoothing. What about trend? Trend still measures movement, and movement doesn't care about scaling. Using this multiplicative seasonality aspect for our series, we get something like this. The impact on prediction is clear. The cycles were low in range at the beginning and is increasing with time. The effect is more visible if I dare to look at 50 days into the future. And with this, we wrap up our day. Today, you have understood what only 1% knows. These basic algorithms are used in so many ways and so many iterations that without knowing these, you cannot master time series forecasting. If you enjoyed today's class, please make sure to watch other videos in the series. I assure you, you will learn. Until next time, keep stalking the algorithms.